Man, it's so good to be here. I'm not going to do my usual long-winded monologue here at the beginning. I kind of got an opening topic. It's because the whole rest of the world is talking about it before we jump right into the news. But as you can see, we have myself, the Laughing Ogre. We have my wonderful and beloved co-host, Common Sense Guy. And we have the new guy here, Magic Bollocks. And we have a very special guest today. We have Melissa with us. We'll get to know her a little bit better as time goes on. There is something unique about her. Maybe you'll find that out a little bit later. And but it's not the only reason we had her on. We have her on because she's a unique and interesting individual. Is it putting you on the spot to maybe give us about a minute or two of who you are, what you do, why you do it, what you want out of life, what you expect from the world, that kind of thing?
Well, that would be like a 20-minute monologue, so I'll skip everybody that. But no, I'm mostly a right-wing commentator. I'm trying to be a political pundit. And I write blogs and make YouTube videos. Most active on my Twitter, so yeah, follow me there. Just to see what I'm kind of about. Basically, I'm trying to make a counter narrative to the far left trans activist movement.
And I am trying to find your Twitter now. I know that I've got you on the Discord. So if you would do me a favor, get any information that you want, throw it in the side chat, and sure. I'll send out a link to your channel right now because I'm almost positive I can get that really, really easy. I recommend it too. Good stuff.
It's at Paulie for my YouTube channel or my Twitter handle. So give me a second.
No worries. While we're doing that, can I quickly ask you a question, Melissa?
Sure.
Why would you think that most of the trans community, so to speak, is left-sided in their political ideology?
The same reason that gays were, right? And I say were, and I put on that. And right now, transsexuals are the useful idiots for the left wing, right? And they're going to get thrown under the bus as soon as their usefulness is outlived. Like, you know, the gay men got what do you call it? The gay marriage thing, right? And now what do you see? You see all these articles talking about how problematic gay men are. So as soon as they're done, and this is going to same thing's going to happen to trannies, probably trans women first, then trans men second. The minute that the left achieves whatever retarded goal it wants, they're gonna shit on trannies just like they do
everybody.
Just like they did with gay men. It's just a matter of time.
Man. And I got both of those. Don't worry about it. I've sent out the Twitter and a link to the channel. I recommend you go by and see what she's up to. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have her on. We wouldn't have her on. So there you go. Good to have you on today. We won't spend a whole lot of the time in introductions because we'll get to know each other as the show unfolds naturally. But of course, we've all seen this thing with Logan Paul. And I and Bollocks both were like, who? And also, when you think of Logan Paul, I keep wanting to call him Paul Logan or Brian Adams or
yeah, yes.
Yeah, it's two first names. And from when I was young, growing up, Jewish, and I don't know if that's why, because I've heard it from other kids too. We always said that was bad luck to have two first names. Maybe not for him. He seems to be doing well. But I wouldn't mind hearing what y'all think about this thing. I did a short video on it today. But is this guy the what is he? Is he what he seems to be, or is this a character that he puts on?
I think
you're our guest. Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's just someone cashing in on shock media. I mean, and it's hardly a new concept. I mean, it's been around since I've been alive. And you know, in the 90s, it was all the talk shows. You know, like dad sleeps with his daughter, blah 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 blah, all that horseshit, right? Like the Maury and the Jerry Springer. Yeah, all that bullshit, right? It's the same kind of media, and I think he got exactly what he was wanting out of it, right? He's getting the views, he's getting the clicks, he's getting the controversy. It's I forget who said it. I think it was Oscar Wilde who said the only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about.
That's right. And yes, Oscar Wilde. The only thing worse about having people talk about you behind your back is when they don't talk.
Exactly. So I think he's exactly what he wanted out of it. And I think people are just too quickly to get outraged. And when they get outraged, he gets exactly what he wants. I haven't even seen the video. I don't even care. You know, I'm not going to give him the click, is what I'm saying.
Well, it makes it even worse considering that he actually monetized the video as well when it was up. That was the most stupidest thing that he could ever have done. If it was to do with what he said, which was supposed to do with making mental illness more of, or giving it more of an awareness, and then he's come back and gone, yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to monetize this, but I'm not going to give any of that money towards actual like Samaritans or National Suicide Helpline or anything else like that. We're not going to give it to them. I'm going to keep it. Oh, you don't like the video? Yeah, I'm really sorry. Bye. It's just what you're actually trying to say and what your actions are doing are two completely different things. I mean, Ogre put in this video that it was a case that he feels that it might be just a point of reaction, as in how they were laughing about the thing because they didn't know how to react to it. But the point is, knew that you were feeling awkward about it. Why did you put the video up? That's the thing. Or why didn't you edit the laughing out? If you don't just put the video up without editing. I mean, we were talking beforehand. I edit even just a little bit just to make sure that I don't sound like a complete idiot. It's very hard on a live stream, I know, but in a video, you've got more time. That's where I think that he's gone completely wrong, where everybody's like, oh, we'll defend him. No, he's got over 15 million subscribers. He knows how to edit. He's got a team around him. This was a decision that he made to go on and make money off of. This wasn't the fact that he was actually trying to help anybody.
I'm not defending him. I'm not.
No, I was agreeing with you just from a different point. I was agreeing with you just from a different point of view.
I think he wanted the clicks and the controversy, and lo and behold, he got the clicks and the controversy. I mean,
and I think he may have been also saying in his gentle way that maybe I was a little too easy on the guy. I was easy on him, common sense. There was a lot of bad going his way. I don't never see that, but I seem to always go that route. But I do want to point out that in that video, if I could change one thing, I would have made it a little more clear whenever I said, well, they are going into the suicide forest. I personally, let me just be very transparent. It was a bollocks move done by a dumb young punk that had no common sense. And so if I didn't work in a plug for everybody on the show with that, I'll just leave it to my co-host.
I'm sorry, before you carry on, there's a channel called Exploring with Josh. And he went over and he does all this like different exploring and things like that with old buildings. And he went through the suicide forest. And he said that he found a corpse, but he didn't actually put anything up. He notified the number that you're supposed to call on the outside. So when you try and say that, oh, he's gone looking for it. Yeah, he has. He's gone looking for something that he can put on the telly, on the YouTube. He hasn't gone looking to actually put it out as what he said. He hasn't gone out to put it out as the point of saying, oh, yes, we're trying to help people that have these type of mental illnesses, this suicide rate that's going forward and everything else like that, especially in Japan where it actually is, which has a very high suicide rate. It's just nobody wants to talk about it. So for them to actually show that as well and not have any inkling of what the culture is over in Japan as well, just makes it even more insensitive. And just to the point of, you've got a PR team. This isn't me or you doing a video that's out there. This is somebody that has 15 million subscribers, meaning he earns shit tons of money. And he's going out and actually doing this, and he's purposely doing it. It goes through an editor. So before he accepts it, it goes through an editor, he accepts it, and then Paul Logan will go, yeah, that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to send out today.
Yep, you better believe it. If they do just as they, yeah, I can't defend that. I mean, because you think of Philly D, he's got 5 million, something to that effect. And yeah, you know, he's got a team. You even see, yeah, I mean, you can't defend that. It's just hard for me also to know what they're trying to bring to people. I ain't heard from Magic Bollocks on this, maybe because he thinks the whole thing's bollocks, like he already told me. Who? Logan who?
I generally could not give a shit more than I don't. It really is a completely pointless exercise and a fucking nobody trying to get attention for himself. The only difference is he's a 15 million subscriber nobody. And if that was me, I'm sorry, I would never have said sorry, because it would have been done in my typical sick British humor way, and I probably would have said something about, am I the only one getting a stiffy? And I'm sure somebody else would have pointed to the corpse then and said, maybe not.
Well, I mean, like me, if I were going to do something tactless like that, I would have just went all the way. I would have right up to him and be like, "Can I have your loot?"
Mercy. So, and it is and this is a part I think that some people got, some people didn't. At those times, I was shocked at how they actually handled it. I wonder if they did cut something out. The main thing is, though, it was the best said on this, bar none to me. We can make fun of it all day. Is the simple fact that, yeah, there had to be at least 10 hands this went through, probably a little more than that. And somewhere along the way, somebody should have pulled the lever and said, maybe not.
Just a thought about something we were talking about before we came on, about Amos Lee. Maybe this is another opportunity for him to say, why didn't he have sex with the corpse? Because if he's going to promote pedophilia, why can't he now go for necrophilia as well? That's got to be a few more clicks, isn't it?
Throw it on the pile.
Not that I'm trying to give him ideas. It is just the kind of thing I think a sick fuck like that would do.
Did you know what's even funnier? Is the fact that the whole thing for paedophile is about consent, and a dead body can't give consent. So it does actually fit the narrative.
That's very true. That's very true. Common sense, yeah. Plus, of course, a corpse can't testify in court as well, can they?
Well, not legally, no.
No. They could try. They always get stuck on the first question, which is name.
I thought it would be actually getting there, but yeah, fair enough.
No, I said shrink wrap him to a sack truck, stand him up.
How is he going to swear upon the Bible?
Well, that's all right. You just like flop his very stiff hand onto it or something.
Right.
Yeah, let's just move on. Let's just move on from this bit. Let's move on.
That's a good way.
And that is a good one to end on. I think we're going to let Magic Bollocks have the last word on that, because I'm with a lot of the statements made. I think one of the other ones I agree vehemently with is, I can't really be bothered with what some bloke does that makes all this money to be a dumb dipshit. Well, he's scored high. And if nothing else, yeah, he shouldn't have apologized. That was a bollocks move. And I don't mean the good kind of magic bollocks. That was just bollocks. So look, man, I've seen this. Anybody ever seen Goodfellas?
Yeah.
Remember Paulie? Paulie was the main man at the cab stand. He was like the godfather of their little gang. And the man's actual real name is Paul Servano. Well, I guess that his daughter is one of the girls that Harvey Weinstein, the old whatever happened with her. And apparently she parried his thrust, and he was upset with her, so he blackballed her. These things are coming out now. I'm not sure how. I'm going to read a little bit of this story, but I've done enough editorializing. Let me read this and let me hear what y'all think about this. Maybe I'll tell you what I think at the end. I will kill. Oh, let me put it over here. I can actually do this so you can read it too, just in case I misspeak a word or two or slip something in there. I've been known to do that from time to time. Everybody makes mistakes. I will kill that mother effer. Paul Servano channels his Goodfellas mobster boss character as he threatens to go after Harvey Weinstein for blackballing his Oscar-winning daughter, Mira. Paul Servano said that Harvey Weinstein better hope he goes to jail rather than come across him, because he will kill the disgraced movie mogul. The Goodfellas actor said in this response to reports that Weinstein had his daughter, Mira, blackballed when she refused his sexual advances. Peter Jackson confirmed last month he removed Mira from a casting list for Lord of the Rings after being told she was difficult by Weinstein. We can talk about maybe what difficult means. I'll try to just get through this without commenting. Servano revealed that he did not know about what Weinstein had done to his daughter until her interview with the New Yorker. This has been sprung on this father. If I had known it, he would not be walking. He would be in a wheelchair, said Servano. My daughter is a wonderful, courageous human being and doesn't deserve to be treated this way. I think in this case, the bullet points will suffice. I did watch this video. Everybody has the link. Take a look at the video if you'd like to hear it right from the horse's mouth. Before I go off and blab, I don't know. What do y'all think?
Well, I don't mind going first on this one. I think it's a telling point where the fact that she hasn't told anybody until this point No, I'm not trying to say I don't believe her. I'm not trying to say that at all. I'm really not. It's just, why wouldn't you tell somebody like your dad? Why wouldn't you tell your mom? Why wouldn't you tell a confidant? Why wouldn't you tell? I mean, I have shitloads of problems, and my best friends all know what most of them are. Missus, maybe not. Maybe I don't confide in my missus as much as I should do. But my best friends, yeah, they know almost everything about me, same as I know almost everything about them. And that's just the point that I have, is surely somebody else would have known and would have gone and told other people. And as for the fact of the director just going, oh, Harvey Weinstein said that she's difficult. Well, surely if she was good enough for the actual film, then she would have been good enough for the film no matter what anyway. I don't know. This story just seems too outrageous. By that point, I mean everybody seems to be overreacting to the story, to the point where you've got an old Goodfellas actor coming out saying that I'm going to kill him and blah, blah, blah. And it's just a case of, well, are you challenging your own acting point, or are you doing what you should be doing? Me personally, I wouldn't have actually even gone and had an interview about it. That's what I wouldn't even had an interview about. Why would I want to talk about something that's happened to my daughter just to make money? That's just where I'm going with it anyway.
Well, and Melissa, if you want to speak up on this, we'd love to hear from you. And I'll do my best not to call you Kayla again. I'm not very good with names, but I'm going to do my best not to misname you again on here. That would be worse than... Never mind. I was going to crack a joke about genders, but carry on.
No, I mean, like, I'm going to pick up kind of where he tangentially touched, is my beef I mean, I think, don't get me wrong, I think Weinstein is a fucking scumbag. But my problem with all this is it's like listen, believe on a fucking massive scale. That's my fucking problem with it, right? And why, you know, if somebody were to accost me in such a way that I found inappropriate, I'd call the police. I wouldn't get on Twitter and make some fucking sob story, right? That's my fucking problem with all this. Why Twitter? Or why whatever news media, right? Why not the police? Where's the police reports? Why hasn't anybody spoken up about this while it was happening?
That's a very good question. I actually think it's one that...
I hate to be the bitch that's going to say it, but when that shit happens, when you go run into the news media or you go run into Twitter or Facebook or whatever to make these allegations, it tells me you are looking for attention, not justice.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and when it's brought up, when it's pointed to that Peter Jackson said well, maybe Harvey did say that she was hard to work with. Maybe she is hard to work with. Mm-hmm. Maybe, I mean, I would like to know a lot more stuff. I just want to say that I ain't gonna lie. I think Weinstein's a pig also, but I thought that before this. He's a big time movie mogul that came from basically nothing. You honest to goodness, in my humble opinion, can't be these two things simultaneously. A movie mogul that came from nothing to be the largest in the world and a nice guy. Mm-hmm. I don't think it can't happen.
Can I just point something out that's from Susie Monkey in the comment section?
Of course.
Susie Monkey puts in the comment section, maybe she kept quiet because of her dad and boyfriend would have killed him. But that's not the point. Surely if when it actually happened, you wouldn't be thinking what would be happening to him. You'd be thinking what happened to you. You're not going to be thinking what's actually going to be happening to that person because you don't care. Because at that point in time, you've just had something horrible happen to you. You are thinking of your self-preservation.
Well, and let's be honest too, Church. Say amen by pressing 1 if you can kind of see the way this is going. Harvey Weinstein may be a pig, as we're saying, but you can't. I'm flustered over this. I get so sick of hearing this stuff. Don't press 1 at all. In fact, I'm going to let everybody else take over. I get sick of talking about it, but it's like it never goes away. Keeps coming. Listen and believe on this huge scale. You know, who honestly thinks this is real?
See, the thing is, it could have happened. But the fact that she's taken so long to come out about it, the fact that there is no police reports, the fact that she has not told her dad, the fact that she hasn't told any partners, the fact that she hasn't told anybody until now.
Who thinks that this guy is really going to murder him? All right. Who thinks that Paul Savano is really going to? I mean, if anyone believes that, The police should be going to his house. And the only reason I'm quiet, I didn't really want to go on that, because Bollocks again is quiet on this. Imagine once again he's going to say, "What the fuck, man? What do I care?" There's probably something, but I don't know. But I do want to know what he thinks about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same as before, Mr. Ogre. Couldn't give a flying fuck, mate. It's another case of rich people trying to get more attention for themselves. By any chance, has this Paul Scontramani, whatever the fuck his stupid name is, actually got a film or some TV series coming out? And so he's just getting a bit of publicity by claiming he's going to kill Weinstein or something?
Yeah, I don't think he does, but his daughter's still 50 years old. It's never hurts these people. Like it's already been pointed out. Remember what Wild said? Hey,
I suppose
people talking.
Is he going to pretend he didn't know what Weinstein was up to as well?
Lord, I don't know. It's been pointed out in the chat that Brett.
That's a good question, because the other end of this, like, it's portrayed as being like an open secret. Like, oh, we all know what's going on. So you're the only dipshit in Hollywood that has no clue what's going on? Give fuck, dude. I don't buy it.
Man, and we can't beat up on everybody. And because I give the Brad Pitt pass, I have to give the who are them two lover boys that did all the movies together, that Good Will Hunting and whatnot. Them two boys, they allegedly knew too about some things.
Ben Affleck and
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. How could I forget that?
Matt Damon.
What, do we really? Okay, so these people knew about it. What are you going to do? And who's really to blame? Is it the whole system? Does anybody think that the pendulum swinging this far in this direction is going to stop this? Do we not realize that this happens about every 30 or 40 years, every 30 or 40 years in our modern society, the last 200, 300, probably 1,000 years in Great Britain's case, where every generation, the muck all comes out, be it the royal family or whoever. It's the way it is.
To be honest, I'm more interested in finding out when the paedophile ring comes out from Hollywood. I'm more interested in finding when that rug comes out from underneath them.
Oh, I think this is probably a diversion from that.
I don't think it ever will, common sense, because I think it's going to drag down Washington with it.
I agree with that. There's definitely a hell of a lot more than just what's going on in Hollywood. There's definitely a lot more senators and things like that are going that way. But without speculation and conjecture, obviously, I should, because I was the one who took this on a tangent, I should bring it back to go to what Ogre is actually saying. And it is the point. It's the idea of the casting couch. And now that somebody like Harvey Weinstein, which, yes, we all agree is an absolute and utter asshole and should be going to prison because he abused his power, we are not trying to say that he shouldn't. But what we're trying to say is, if you have a culture, then people are going to abide by that culture to get a leg up. Yes, pun intended, as always.
Don't you mean a leg over?
No, leg up first. You have to do it.
But to get the leg up, you have to do the leg over.
I'm dying to use this segue, and this is kind of a better story for all of us, maybe. You said abuse of power. That ties into our next story. It really does.
Let's move on then, if nobody else has got anything else to say.
Absolutely nothing.
Check this out, mates and misses. It says, Christian, former boarding school girl, 23, who was saving herself for marriage, is now auctioning off her virginity to the highest bidder after her ex-boyfriend cheated on her. Well, I don't know how an ex-boyfriend can cheat on you, so I'm apparently maybe cheated and then broke up. But here, listen to the story. Bailey Gibson, 23, was brought up a Christian and a strict Christian by her adoptive parents. She was sent to an all-girls boarding school, and while she got a boyfriend after graduating, she told him she was saving herself for marriage. But when he cheated on her twice, she decided to sell her virginity instead of being a chaste person. She contacted Dennis Hoff, owner of the famous Nevada Moonlight Bunny Ranch, with her plan, and now he's taking bids. And I'm gonna tell y'all something, and this is not to be titular. This is this girl. I just want to, ask y'all. I don't know. Maybe we'll get to that. I want to say this. This is not to rate this person, okay? But we may discuss what this is really worth and what kind of insane person was spending money on it. So here is this individual. She was raised by adopted parents. This is what she looks like. I want to say this before I go on. I don't think I'm gonna read much more of this story. It's all self-explanatory. She's mad. She's butthurt because her boyfriend. She figured he was gonna be there forever. But
I have one thing to say on the story, and then I'm finished with the story. To be honest, if you were going to save yourself for marriage, why would it fucking matter if your ex-boyfriend decided that he was going to cheat on you twice? If you were going to save yourself for marriage, it wouldn't fucking matter. You'd just wait again. It just wouldn't matter, would it? You're doing this out of spite because you waited until your boyfriend cheated on you for however long. You were 23 at that point in time. I'm sure the boyfriend's already had something, obviously by going off as well. I'm not trying to say that that's a good or a bad thing before anybody wants to pull me up on that. But as soon as he's done something like that, you've then broke up with him and then gone, well, if you're going to be a cunt, I'm going to sell my virginity. What the fuck? If you're honestly doing that for a particular reason, a virtual reason, which I have no problem with, that's your choice to do. But if you're going to do that for a particular reason, why would you let him get the better of you and decide that you're going to sell your virginity and sell your virtue and sell your principles? You didn't have the principles in the first place, did you?
No, I would say no. Yeah, I want some other opinions on it too. Pretty much he just stole all my thunder because it's almost exactly what I was going to say.
Well, sorry. I mean, and because this girl's story is not the first one I read on this. I read about a Russian girl who did the same thing. She ended up getting $1.5 million. It was crazy.
Million, yes.
And I just look at these broads and I'm like, after you get the money, everything's said and done, you're a Google search away from anybody looking you up and deciding that you're a fucking worthless whore.
Including your kids when you have kids later on.
Yep. Because the internet don't forget.
Exactly.
So that's my problem with it. It's okay, it's all said and done. You're a worthless whore now. What are you going to do? I mean, if I were about to I don't know about you guys, but if I were about to get in a date with a guy and I Googled him and come to find out he was a fucking gay porn star, and get the fuck away from me.
It'd be tough. And to me, the more money, because you said 1.5, I was just reading a story last night. I think the highest so far from the Bunny Ranch from this gentleman that's done this before. I use gentleman loosely, but everybody's got to make a living. Man's got to eat. It was 4.6 million. And that doesn't make it better. I don't know how else to say it. To me, the more money that has been exchanged in this interaction makes it more sleazy to me. It's just saying that, yes, you have your price. It might be a lot of money, but you got it. That thing that you saved or whatever. Why'd she even save? Why didn't she just?
Please carry on. After I've made this point, please carry on because I don't want to steal your thunder. It's just a case of.
No, that's it. I was pretty much done. I was going to say she could have done this with her boyfriend. Maybe he wouldn't have cheated. I'm done.
Yeah, exactly. But my little point to this is it wouldn't matter if it was 24 grand or if it was 24 million or 24 billion. It wouldn't matter what the price is because, as you just said, you first had your principles that you were not going to have sex with your boyfriend for however long it was because you're saving yourself. And now you sold yourself. You've literally become, as Melissa said, a whore. You have sold your virginity, your virtue, your principle for whatever it is. And let's be honest, if nobody was interested in the girl and the girl was a little bit on the uglier side, she would be selling herself for 10 or 20 or 30K. She wouldn't be selling herself for $1 million. Let's be honest on that one.
Yeah, and I want to make it very clear before Bollocks busts us all down. I don't think anyone here is a prude. I don't think anyone here is a Puritanian. I think the point is that no matter where you're coming from or who you are, no matter what, if you either have principles or you don't, whether you're a white supremacist Nazi, skinhead Nazi, or whether you're a Baptist school marm that's never swayed her hips to the music ever in her life. Doesn't matter. If you believe in something and you have these principles, that's where I believe morality is, rests on a foundation. So I don't know, man. It's just, I thought it was a funny story. I think it's a ridiculous abuse of power. It does show something else. Why is it that we want girls to be careful with this thing? Why is this social norm to say, look, don't be a slut? They say slut shaming. No, it's to protect not only the female, but society as a whole. I mean, we put such a high price on this, on the thought of this thing that she's selling.
See, I would actually even say that it's slightly different on that point. I would have no problem with people that do strip dancing. I have no problem that even with whores themselves, if they're doing it as an enterprise from themselves. If that's the only labor that you have, then fair enough. Go do what you need to do. Just make sure you're safe and clean. But it's the fact that you had, as you quite rightly said, you had a principle. You have then gone off and said that you are going to fuck that principle, fuck your religion, fuck the point of chastity that you've been living over for at least 20-something years. And just because you're a little bit pissed off at this moment in time, you're going to sell yourself. And as Melissa said, yeah, you're going to get some money for it. Well done. In about 10, 15 years' time, when you decide that you're going to have kids and settle down, your children decide that they're going to actually search for you and go, oh, Mum, did you sell your virginity for £1.5 million? Whatever happened to that then? Why did that happen? And then you're going to have to explain that you went after, asked somebody to be able to sell you in an auction, as in a sex auction, to put yourself out there just because you were butthurt over a man. Whatever happened to feminist? Whatever happened to the actual point of saying you're supposed to have equal opportunity? Some people would argue the point of saying, well, you've got the actual point of her being able to do that. Fair enough. You do have that point of saying it. But why would you let a man buy you, buy your virtue, buy your principles for whatever it is? I thought you fought for that shit in the 1920s.
Hey, common sense, everybody's got a price, mate. Doesn't matter what it is.
Not everybody's got a price, mate. Not everybody has.
Really?
And that's what we're talking about in the chat right now.
Obviously, I'm not talking about you flogging your ass or anything like that. I'm just mean, just if somebody offered you an incredible amount of money to do something ridiculously stupid.
But there's a difference in stupid than actually losing a part of your virtue or part of your principle. If you're trying to tell me that somebody's going to give me money to go and kill somebody, then I'd say, well, no, I'm definitely not going to do that because my principle would be I would never kill anybody. If you're going to tell me that somebody's going to give me money to hit somebody, as in to slap them, then I've got no problem with that.
Fair enough. To be honest, I don't really have much of an opinion on this story. My attitude is, it's her life because I believe in individual responsibility. It's hers to fuck up. So if she gets rich, but then ends up an alcoholic, a substance abuser, and then dies in a ditch somewhere, that was her choice. So let her get on with it. The only thing I would say about her, though, looking through this picture, is it looks like she's got base mama's old nose.
I mean, look, I don't want to mock her, but I just thought it was funny when common sense was like, well, she's okay. I wouldn't classify this person as ugly, but I would classify her as waking up the next day going, holy shit, I must have got drunk last night.
Yeah, I mean, the point isn't what she looks like. The point is obviously the point of principle of virtue.
Yeah,
that's the point of what they're paying for. It's not the
I'm
point
glad
of
we went down that route because I just wanted to mock this girl, and that's not good. It really isn't good. What does that accomplish outside of I'm just laughing at this person who obviously?
I will say we've missed one point, and that's the fact of what does it look like for other girls that are at similar ages that have similar opportunities by selling their virginity. Does that mean that there could be a fad? Now, we've already said that there's obviously other people that have done this. And there's at least 3 other people, to my knowledge, bar the Russian girl that done it before, that has put themselves on eBay, a couple of other sites and things like that, as well as going to this ranch, as you said before, that have done this. Does that mean that the more publicity that's going, realising that they can sell their virginity for over £1 million, does that mean more people are going to do that?
There isn't there, common sense? There's that website, is it Sugar Daddies, where a lot of female students are currently offering services to older businessmen, to be their sugar daddies during their studies. And obviously, the more attractive they are, obviously, the more money they're getting for doing various favors. They didn't go into detail about what the favors were, but I think you could probably imagine what some of them might be.
Yeah.
Well, sucky, fucky.
Exactly. And that's the point.
We're all adults here. That's exactly what's happening.
Exactly. That's the whole principle of this story, though, isn't it? She's literally selling her virtue for over £1 million, £1 million, whatever. And that just gives precedent for other people that are in a similar position to go, well, my boyfriend's been an arse. I don't think that I'm going to worry about this. I want to get myself set up because I'm in a trailer park or whatever. Let's sell myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a million ways we can go to. I think we covered some good bases. I ain't gonna take anybody off the rack, but I do have this other story, and we can actually give Melissa here a chance to practice her political punditry on some issues that are taking place in another country. And I just remember this cat. I'll never forget.
I'm not even going to fucking comment on this fucking story. You lot can do this one.
Hang on. This one was picked specifically for you, Common Sense. We know that you're his biggest fan.
You can all fuck off. I'm going to bed.
We'll just take a quick moment and look at this person. I'll never forget the whole "we got to get used to it" speech he gave, where he, told people in a big city a terror attacks will happen. Something we got to get used to. So, Sadiq's London knife crime, gun crime, theft, burglary, rape, homicide, all massively up.
I see Londonistan is doing well.
Yep, yeah, indeed, it is. It's doing very well. Acid attacks are up about 400% as well at the minute.
Oh,
but that's not up there.
God, when can I go move there? I can't wait.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I really don't have to say much about this. I don't have to read a whole lot. Just as Britain's media celebrated in droves when London elected its first Muslim mayor, Sadiq Khan, in May 2016. Now, I'm going to say correlation doesn't show causation, folks, but he is very lenient towards a certain group of people. It says in Britain's capital over the past year, Khan presided over rises in knife crime, gun crime, theft, burglary, rape, homicide, and more. And not just by a little bit either. Some in the media, by which I mean basically just me, predicted Khan might be a disaster for London. But the extent to which this is true was beyond even our worst nightmares. A little bit sensationalist, but here he says parking the anecdotal evidence of Khan giving preference to genital mutilations, linked groups, and using his platform to agitate against U.S. president. I don't know. This is getting a little bit deep. Let's just say this, boys, without me going and because I don't want to be a terrible pundit for either side. I do not like Sadiq Khan, but maybe I can, boys and girl, maybe I can kick it this way. What is the correlation here? Is it Sadiq Khan? What's happening to London?
Well,
go ahead, Melissa.
I mean, if he wants to go first, that's fine. To me,
go ahead, please.
To me, this is the symptom of the disease of the EU. Is exactly what this is, right? And I know this is completely my ideological lens that's talking right now, but these problems began with the EU. They will end with the EU, right? And this guy, gun crime and homicide and rapes and acid attacks and all the other things that were mentioned are all up massively, right? And the best thing Britain could say about it is, well, at least we weren't racist. Well, congratulations, you weren't fucking racist. And meanwhile, 14-year-old Susie over there just got tailored for a gang rape. It's idiocy. It's what it is. And it's this idea that you're going to bring millions of people from the Middle East, some of the most aggressive places on earth, and then stick them in a country where the police officers in London aren't even armed with a gun anyway. Because they're their little tasers or their little batons. Like I watched a video of this guy in Britain chasing around all these cops with a fucking machete. And I'm like, in the United States, they just shot him and fucking called the coroner. That'd have been the end of it.
And they are becoming more and more armed. The police in London are, police in larger cities like Manchester.
The police themselves are not becoming more armed. We're putting more armed police on the streets. Normally, they have the point of having them ready in particular units, and they're normally on what you would call call out. But now that they're actually being called out to the actual events and things like that instead. So they're not actually armed police, as in we're arming the police. It's just a case that they're in a particular section.
Like a SWAT team, basically.
Yes, yeah. They would be our equivalent of SWAT team.
That's always been fascinating to me, and I'm not going to completely derail it into that. I always see this panel is every time I consider what's going on in Manchester and Birmingham and London, I think of John Cleese saying, hey, you know, I was just walking down a street in London that I remember from my childhood, and I'm looking around, and yeah, we had a curry shop and we had some this and that back when, but now I look around and everybody is speaking a different language. And he's like, what happened? Where is it still London? And I know I'm very heavily paraphrasing. I think a lot of people would remember the little clip from John Cleese when he's talking about that.
Yeah, there's a bit of swearing in it.
What else could be? I really have a hard time, as I said in the beginning, with correlation does not show causation. Here in Michigan, when the amount of ice cream sales goes up, the number of people that die in swimming accidents goes up. Ice cream don't make you a bad swimmer. They serve it in the winter, or excuse me, in the summer. In the winter, our lakes are frozen. Nobody's swimming. So correlation don't show causation. But what else can be going on that other than something has changed? I heard EU. That was probably so far the best argument of what's changed, this massive immigration.
It's not the case that the immigration has changed. Immigration has been that way since, getting my head figures right, between 1997 and 99 is when the floodgates were open, so to speak. That obviously had nothing to do with Sadiq Khan, because obviously he was busy in America being a lawyer for a particular group of people. But we won't get into that bit. I just wanted to put that back out there. But yeah, so that wasn't anything to do with Sadiq Khan, but it's a case of, yes, you do touch on a very good point. It's a case that, yes, there is a lot of problems with the freedom of movement. There is a hell of a lot of problems with it. It's also the policies that have been made as well. As we said before, if you were to be able to integrate the people, then you wouldn't be able to have separate cultures building up. They would be integrated into the British culture. Because after all, British culture isn't a case of English culture anymore. Our favourite food is a curry. Our favourite night food when we come back is a kebab. That's obviously something that's Turkish. That's obviously something that is Indian and Pakistani. It's not a case that it's English anymore. Same as fish and chips, believe it or not, is actually a French dish, not an actual English dish.
Oh, I didn't know that. That almost sounds like blasphemy. I'm surely not going to argue about English stuff with you.
It is blasphemy, but it was unfortunately a goddamn French dish. But we nicked it and we made it better, so fuck you.
Yeah, we got chip shops all over here. That's one of the most popular thing to get to. Look, I just threw it off. I'm a little hungry right now. I'm going to eat when this is over.
But it's good though, because that's the point of multiculturalism actually working. It fits into the culture that's already there. Where Sadiq Khan has changed policies is he's put the point of putting people of Muslim backgrounds with Muslims, people that come across with Christian backgrounds in with Christians. That causes division. That causes paranoia. That does not cause integration. You cannot put Sikhs in with Sikhs and then expect them to integrate with Christians. It doesn't work that way. You have to integrate everybody in together. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it will just collapse. That is literally my namesake, common sense. Yeah. So when people sometimes say, oh, it's EU, it's this, it's that. No, it's a conjunction of everything. It's just a point that Sadiq Khan has these amazing policies where he's going to freeze FTL rules and things like that. Is that you control them because they're in London. You're not actually making a single point. You're not doing anything. And then goes, oh, we've got knife crime down because we've tried to put these amount of police out there. It's like, you don't have control to put more police out there, so you're actually taking credit from somebody else. You can ask to put them out there. It's just interesting to me. Just interesting to me. I mean, obviously, Magic Bollocks being a fellow Englishman, what do you think? Well, sorry, Welshman. Sorry.
That's RPR again. You're confusing me. I just think that he's got diversity to a T there, isn't he? You know, he's got knife crime, gun crime, theft, burglary, rape, homicide. That's diversity of crime, isn't it? Is that what he means when he says our strength?
Do you know one statistic? That they haven't got up there?
What's that?
How much anti-Semitism has gone up?
Yeah, that's I imagine that's probably since about what 2015. Would I take a rough guess that it started to really sort of become popular again?
2013 for 2014, yeah.
Okay. So I would have thought it would have coincided more with Corbyn's rise to the top. You see.
No, it's more to do with the floodgates opening, more to do with the freedom of trade, freedom of movement.
Because one of the great questions I've always had is that in regards to freedom of movement within the EU, as long as we're still in it, we can't stop that within the 28 nations. But the other half of the, was it 350,000 we get every year coming into the country, half of that is outside the EU, which is immigration we can control, and yet they're not. They're still allowing people from the Middle East to come in pretty much unfettered, and you have to wonder, really why. At least with the Eastern Europeans, yes, they have come over in far too larger numbers and have displaced a lot of the locals in terms of employment, but at least with them, the vast majority of them are actually working and doing something, even though.
So by that you mean like Estonians, Latvians, Lithuanians, that part?
Well, I'm thinking more sort of the Polish and maybe the Czechs and just the ex-Soviet bloc countries who joined in 2004. Unfortunately, they're not net contributors like the figures like to fudge, because they pay tax at the lowest possible rate, or if they even pay it at all, and then they're entitled to many tax top-ups, such as tax credits, child allowance, and it ends up meaning that they're actually negative contributors, but that's a different story. You've got many people coming from backwards cultured nations who have ideologies that do not belong in the West. They come over, then being told they don't need to integrate, they don't even need to learn English. They're put into developing ghettos in big cities, and they're protected by people like Sadiq Khan or the far left, who, like Common Sense was saying on our last stream, are protected by them because they're seen as the oppressed, and they can pretty much do what they want at the moment. They're completely unfettered to whatever they want to do, and that's why you're seeing big increases in crime. You're seeing people who realize that in the eyes of the establishment at the moment, they can pretty much get away with what they want to. I think Sadiq Khan could even rape the shit out of a 14-year-old live on TV, and people would be going, oh, yeah, but he's still such a nice man, isn't he? Mm-hmm. No. What he is just an absolute disgusting, opportunist piece of shit who I generally cannot wait to see fall, because he will at some point. He'll fuck up. Something will happen. Something will come out. It'll probably be to do with his Iman or some other part of his religious set. But I think he is due a downfall at some point.
I can hear the headline right now. In bold new move, Sadiq Khan rapes 14-year-old girl in front of cameras. Cameras rolling. What a bold move, our new man. Anyway.
Yeah, but the thing is, the white girl will be accused then of a cultural appropriation, wouldn't she?
Oh, mercy. Yeah, and I tell you what, boys, if y'all are fine with this, I'll keep my own opinions, and I wouldn't mind if we can just prod Melissa a little bit more to get a final little wrap up on this whenever you're done, Bollocks.
No, I'm all done.
Well, thank you. Good points too, man.
Well, I think that the problem is not just compounded with the immigration problem. I think it's also compounded with the justice system's apparent inability to do anything about it. It's almost daily I read about someone who did something awful to a child, right? Like some Muslim immigrant, and he gets like 200 hours of probation because he didn't know how to speak English, or he didn't understand no, or they weren't used to alcohol, or whatever fucking story that comes out. And to me, it's like, well, it's compounded by them a flood of them coming in, the police not wanting to do anything because they don't want to be criticized as racist, and the justice system not handing out appropriate punishments. And when these things collide, surprise, surprise, crime rates flourish, like we're seeing right now. I think it's, and it's even starting to affect the United States to some extent. Like in Idaho, not long ago, there was this like 5-6-year-old girl that got raped by 3 refugees, one from Syria, one from Iran, and I forget where the other one was from. But yeah, these 3 teenage boys basically raped this 5-year-old girl, videotaped it on their phones, and then they get in there, and we don't know what happened because they're all minors, so it's all fucking sealed, and the judge put gag orders on the parents of the victim, and on the victim, it's on the victim herself, so they're not even allowed to talk about it. But the parents came out and said, look, we can't say anything, but we could say we're not fucking happy with what happened, and I don't blame them. These boys probably got a little slap on the hand. This 5-year-old girl's uterus is probably fucking destroyed. Probably has to have reconstructive surgery on her vagina. Like, and what's going to happen to these boys? Oh, they're going to be able to stay in the country, and they're going to get their little slap on the hand. And it's, to me, that's what allows this behavior to continue.
Yep. Well, I said I wouldn't comment. I won't. We'll leave it at that. I got this next story. And yeah, that might be a little grim, but what are we going to do? Common sense could come back right now, and he could tell you how bad Sadiq Khan sucks, and we could all have another opinion on what the problem is or where it stems from. But the fact of the matter is, what was just described are some of the things that are going on. At the very least, we should all take a little bit of time to consider these things. I thought this was so funny. I think Bollock's guy, I don't remember who gave me this story, but everyone's always blaming, and I love conspiracy theories. I like stuff that I can study and read about, and there's really no answers to it. You know, you can argue, discuss, think about it all day long and never really come to any kind of solid conclusion about it. But this was very interesting from the Daily Mail. Freemasons are blocking the career progression of women and ethnic minorities in the police. And this gentleman, Steve White of the Police Federation.
I'll be right back. Sorry.
Okay, take your time. No worries. Yeah, we don't have no rules here. Steve White of the Police Federation said a number of people within his organization suspected members of the Masons that they have been an obstacle to changes. He says they're blocking career progressions for women and ethnic minorities, but the Masons completely deny the claims, saying they uphold values and morals, and they do. I want to say that. But let's all remember when we hear, because this ties in a couple ways. When we hear things like this, okay, values and morals of the Shriners, of the Freemasons, values and morals of Islam, of the Mormon Church, values and morals of Christian Scientists and Jehovah's Witnesses. Heck, you know, come on, folks. We have to realize that there is something to conspiracies. And this is hopefully this isn't too nerd and boring for you two lot. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. We'll see what we can do with it. There are these things going on, and we can't just get. I mean, we can do whatever we want. Y'all, everybody here can do whatever they want. You can think that this is just crazy. This story is from the Mail here, I believe. So of course it's just a rag, and the Daily Mail never put it anything that was. Or we can say yes, there are churches that do bad things. There are organizations like Nation of Islam that are bad for society. The Freemasons, if you look at what they're not good for society.
I don't think any select group is ever going to be good for society. After all, the whole point of having, I was going to say matriarchal then, but meritocracy. The whole point of having meritocracy is the idea of promoting the best people for the job, not having a select group of quiet members in a corner deciding the fate of the world. I mean, we can all go down the conspiracy theory road of saying the Illuminati and everything else like that, obviously the biggest one. But if you're going to stick to the ideas of actually having this form of democracy that we believe that we have, obviously America doesn't have a democracy, it has a republic, which in some ways is technically better than a democracy. Direct democracy doesn't always work to the point where the majority will always overrule the minority. The Republic in America works very, very well to the point of they realize that if you had a very small area that doesn't have too many people, then you had to increase the votes for their electoral college, because otherwise it would be the people that all lived in the major states, major cities, that would be able to sweep across whatever they wanted to. Hence why the flyover states were left for such a long time. But getting back on point, the reason why I used all of that is the point of trying to say that if you're going to go down the road of saying that Freemasons are actually deciding who and what they cannot do and do things like that, it's a case of, yeah, okay, the Masons are part of the governmental fabric, but they still need laws to be passed. If not, they can still be have laws against them. It's just a case of being able to get somebody that would actually stay on your side to be able to enforce the law. That's the only problem with situations with places like that and groups like that. I don't know. I don't really like talking about conspiracy theories too much, because most of them are a point of idealism. It's a case of you have an idea of what they are, not necessarily what they are.
Right. The Illuminati and the Freemasons, they've got to be devil worshippers, and that's why they're bad and all this. And instead of just looking at any secret group that's trying to control how a society acts or what their mores are, probably isn't a good thing. And that spans Christianity, is everything. It spans all of those things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I reckon.
And I do, Magic Box, I did get this story from you, didn't I?
You did. The reason I brought it up was because I just read through it quickly and I thought, that is a bloke who was just trying to come up with a piss poor excuse why he hasn't been promoted yet. He's obviously not gone as far as he thought he was going to go in the Met. So it's a case of, right, tinfoil hat time. What bullshit can I make up? And also to make sure he got full coverage in the press, make sure he mentions women and minorities, an absolute guarantee to get into a mainstream rag like the Mail. But one thing that pisses straight on his theory about how they're holding back minorities and women, who's the head of the Metropolitan Police again? And I know this because we mentioned her before, didn't we? Her name is Clarissa Dick.
Yes, the Dick.
Yes. She's also happens to be a lesbian as well, so she's ticking plenty of boxes.
Ticking the boxes. That was a good zinger. In fact, Susie Monkey mentioned, she asked if anybody here knows the statistics on women and race in senior police. And she says senior spokesmen always seem to be female or black.
I wouldn't know off the top of my head. And I think that would actually be a pretty hard, like in the United States, that would be pretty hard to find because the police in the United States are so decentralized.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the city police, like you have city police and then there's county police and state police and federal police. Like, it's just very compartmentalized and it's not centralized at all. Like, there's so many within the United States. Like, a lot of times, if you commit a crime, all you got to do is go across the border or across the county because these police don't talk to each other. They have no idea what the fuck is going on.
I'm not sure that that's a bad thing. I could kind of, but I will say
I'm not trying to portray it as a bad thing. I'm just saying that's how it is.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to pick up. But when you're talking about there's a town called Mount Pleasant. There's a casino there because there's an Indian reservation. The Chippewa Indian Nation is there. They have a big casino. Saginaw. No, I can't remember the name of it right now. And I don't want to advertise for the casino. But in that, there's also Central Michigan University is there. In that town, there's university. These are all police now with jurisdiction that can write you tickets, arrest you, get you taken to court, charge you with crimes, those kind of things. There's the university police. There's the tribal police. There's the city police. There are the county police, the state police, all those that you mentioned. Now, that's just in that town. There are 5 different marked police cars. And like you said, I mean, they don't talk to each other. They don't. seems like it might be a little bit better for freedom-loving people. Yes, I'm flat out saying that if you've done something wrong, you do have the right to get away with it if you can. That's part of being free. You know, all these laws we end up getting. Look, I'm getting way off topic. I got triggered a little bit, I guess. And yeah, I think it's funny. I kind of thought that both of you, I was like, why bollocks give me this? I said, I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to give a little speech about how, yeah, these things are influenced. And they're both going to say, nah, this is bullshit. This guy just wanted attention. And I mean, I can see that for sure. Mm-hmm. I don't want to make light of anything, I guess, but the Daily Mail, it does make it kind of easy.
Well, maybe it's a case of he was, doing the hand signal to what he thought was Freemasons, and in the end, they thought he had Parkinson's, and they put him on leave.
Yeah, it was like, and they thought, he was doing the 666 or something. They thought he was just jittering and jiving.
Yep.
I mean, my problem with conspiracy theories in general is that they're unfalsifiable, because if you present evidence to somebody that's deep in the conspiracy theory that goes against the conspiracy theory, it becomes part of the conspiracy.
Yeah, that's a thing.
I'm just a big fan of bad excuses myself.
Well, they're always good. I think that the Japanese have a saying that I like a lot. It says, blame lies with the one that is weak enough to cast guilt, just to blame. So blame lies on the person that's saying you did something wrong. And when I think about that, it all ties into this. We don't need this person telling us that we don't have enough minorities or majorities or ethnic this or whatnot. If you get that, if you have that happening actively, people saying, well, there's not enough boxes ticked, in this category right here, you have to get some more of this. Well, come on, look what's happening to the BBC. It seems like your programming is hurting. I do notice, and that too, don't get me wrong, I like a good-looking English lady, reading the news, but man, the guys are just taking a pounding. A lot of these careers that were historically male careers, they're by the wayside. And well, if you're black, man, you might have a little bit better chance. But how you got it right now in BBC is if you are a black, disabled, I mean, you get the list. You add on, the more you add to it, female, you know what I mean? Transsexual, cross-dress, because in other words, transsexual, but you still dress like the gender you were born as, cross-dressing. I mean, if you keep adding all these things, well, then you get the job. I don't know, man.
The BBC is completely Marxist these days. You've only just got, it is. The whole equality of outcome is all they care about.
I identify as a Jew, okay, but I'm with Morley Safer. I don't want it. There should be no Jew month or Jew Day or something. We have is Yom Kippur, and we do, we have our celebration. We have a Feast of Trumpets and all these things.
There you go.
Yes.
I have literally just sent you a picture on DM, on Twitter DM. It gives you a breakdown of the percentage of black people that are in charge of the police. And this is from a government census that happened in 2016, 2017.
I love you. I love you for that. I'm going to pop it up here and let everybody see it. And I will see if I can't. Yeah, I'll do it that way. Ooh, it's kind of small. Let me see what I can do here. Can you give me a link too so that I can put it in the chat for Susie Monkey and whoever else? I'm actually going to have a kind of a, well, I don't know.
I can give you a link for the actual thing because this is all PDF files. I can give you a link for the website.
It's a little small, but as you see, it says Asian or Asian British. Is this, man, those make up the largest amount of senior police is Asian British?
Yeah.
That is okay. So I'm reading this right. So here's the breakdown, Susie Monkey. The black part of this pie, it's no pun intended. This 41% is Asian or Asian British. That'd be yellow anyway, if it was going to be funny. And then the 18.9% is black or black British. And then this 11.2% is Chinese or other. And then this other is mixed. I did notice one thing, mate. There's no, where are the white people? Where are the white British?
Not included because this is for actual statistics for diversity. Oh, I specifically look for the chapter for diversity.
So, well, you got to keep in mind when you're comparing demographics from the UK and the United States, when they say Asian, we would put that as Middle Eastern.
Okay.
Yeah, we classify Asian as Pakistani, or like every sort of form of the continent of Eurasia.
No, that's because forget what it was, but I was doing a video, or was it a blog? I can't remember, but that's not the point. But I was doing, and I was like, God, there's a lot of Asians in Britain. And
there's only 8%.
And then a girlfriend of mine, she was like, no, in the UK, when we say Asian, we're including what you would call the Middle East. And I said, oh, okay, now it makes a lot more sense.
That just blew me away, though. I just didn't know that. I feel like all this stuff is degrading to everybody. It's degrading to anyone that is taking advantage. We were talking earlier, Melissa, I think it was yesterday or the day before, about that right now you're experiencing some difficulties because you are who you are. And you feel like, yeah, at this point, it really does feel like, I didn't hear you, bitch. It didn't sound like you were moaning about it. It sounded like you're being realistic about it. It felt like something was happening that was because the people just didn't like what you are.
Mm-hmm.
The shoe was on the other foot. I don't think it'd be any better. In other words, let's just say that it's not happening here. I hate to use it, but I'm just going to use us as an example so that I'm not using anyone else. I mean, what if it was known in your heart and that we just came out and said, oh, the only reason we're having you on is because you're what you've chosen to be, what you are. That's it. That's the only reason. We don't give a shit. Your voice is shite. Your ideas are shite. Everything about you sucks. But you have this one thing that Isn't that as bad, or is it worse, or am I just crazy because I don't experience it?
I'm flat out against any kind of affirmative action. I am against just this kind of, to me, it's just market engineering is what it is by the government. I just think there needs to be an idea of, are you the most qualified person for the position? Yes or no? Then screw everything else, right? Like there was this thing that happened in Australia, and they gave these applications to employers, but they removed the name and the gender and basically all the personal identifiers of a person and said, okay, hire and fire based on this. And it turned out to blow up in their faces because men still got disproportionately hired. But it was right there. It was that moment I said, the reason hiring is the way it is that this proves that it has nothing to do with race or sex. It has everything to do with the way people are. And it blew it out of the water for me. That was it. And it was that moment when I was like, I'm completely against quotas. Not quotas, but any kind of affirmative action plan.
No, quotas are a form of, as you say, affirmative action or positive discrimination, and as in the UK.
Yeah.
Positive discrimination. That's such an oxymoron. I've heard y'all use that over there too. That is the thing that you say in the UK.
Yeah, well, your positive, what Melissa just said was
affirmative action, same thing.
Yeah, this is exactly the same principle and the same act. We just call it positive discrimination.
I'll tell you what. All right, and look, folks, I'm gonna really strive to be saying my final words before 2 hours goes by on the stream. Man, I shouldn't have said that. Now it's going to be 10 hours. No, we're going to do that today. So we got one more story. And again, we have a unique person who, of course, is here only because I've done good, I hope, because, yeah, we're all a little different one way or the other. But I told you before the stream, and hopefully I didn't go too far there. We want to get to know you a little bit. Maybe you can share some of these unique things that you have unique perspectives on, starting with this story, because you actually used a little 3-letter acronym that I had no idea what it meant. I might have to look it back up to even remember. When I messaged this out on Discord, and when the story came up, I mean, you said this person was, what'd you say, MLB? This
GNC.
What is that?
Gender nonconforming.
Oh, okay, GNC. Thanks, man. That's what I need to know. I don't know these things. So this is a gender nonconforming a child. I gotta get some answers to this. So this is what was sent to me by, again, I don't know if it was Magic Box or I found this. Somebody found this, and we're gonna take a look at it. From, again, guess who? Our favorite paper, it seems, lately. Hopefully they'll send us our check, boys. The Daily Mail. Says
love a fiver.
Yeah. Says you can just do you. Boy 10 founds a drag club for kids so they can express themselves in a positive and encouraging, safe space. And this is Desmond Anopoulos from Brooklyn, and New York City is better known by his drag name, Desmond is Amazing. He started dressing up as a toddler and began wearing dresses age 6. He has
Can I ask a quick question?
Yep.
Is this the same kid that was in Canada, in Quebec?
I'm not sure.
Lord, I don't know if it is, but they're saying it right now. He is the one that was in the video with the music video with RuPaul, and he's gotten a lot of traction with this.
So yeah, he is the one from Quebec then.
Yeah. He lives apparently in Brooklyn, New York right now. But here he is with the video with blah, blah, blah. And an active member, he's an active member of the LGBTQ community. Desmond now wants to inspire other young people and promote anti-bullying and suicide prevention. He's launching, okay, this is where I'm going to go with this from me. Just a little bit of a nudge in one direction. We can take it any direction y'all want. All right, when I see this 10-year-old child and they say is an active member of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered, and queer community, all right, I guess it's possible that he could be a member of the Q part of that, and even a member of the T part of that.
No, he can't.
But it's hard for me. It's hard for me to say he's a part of any of this because mostly it's connected with a sexual preference, and we're talking about a 10-year-old child. So it just this is what's look, and of course I'm going to pass you, Melissa. Bust my balls later if you think I'm pandering. If not, we need a good opinion, and I hear not like you're the black person in the room when we're talking about black. I'm just saying here you have the authority on this. You know what the hell you're talking about. So what's going on here? Is this just attention? Is this another way for them to get their thing in the paper? Is this normal? Is this good for the kid? What's going
on? So I agree that this is why I don't, and this would devolve into like a 20-minute monologue, but this is why I advocate for transsexuals to quit using the transgender umbrella. I hate the transgender umbrella. I hate everything about it because it conflates completely different things under this same like all-encompassing idea, right? Like the way the transgender umbrella currently works is both I and this 10-year-old boy are under the same umbrella, and there's so much different going on that it's like calling a Ford Pinto and a Ford Mustang the same car on the account that they're Fords, right? It just doesn't make sense. What's going on is, and I was in a lot of ways the same way as this little boy, gender non-conforming. That's how I started off, right? And I mean, when my parents first caught me, I was 11 years old, and I was screwing around with my mom's makeup, right? And then my mother's like, "What the fuck are you doing in my makeup?" Right? But that's a story for another time. But I don't inherently see anything wrong with what this child is doing, as long as the child is not being pushed into this behavior. And I don't have a problem in principle with gender non-conforming people, right? If you don't want to, if you're a guy or a girl and you don't want to dress like a guy or a girl, I don't have any fucking problem with that, because I mean, fundamentally, I think people have the right to express themselves however it is that they wish. And with just people in general that are gender non-conforming, it's nice to have, and this is where like safe spaces are often misrepresented. It's nice to have a place where you can go and not like, it's nice to have a place where I can go and not have to constantly justify what and who and why I am the way I am. It's just nice to find people that I can have conversations with without having to go into a forever long monologue about why I have gender dysphoria, right? With gender non-conforming people, it's the same way, especially kids. We all gravitate towards people that are like us. It's just, it's confirmation, right? And what this kid's trying to do is find other gender non-conforming kids to where they can do gender non-conforming kid thing, play, have a good time, do basically normal kid shit, except, they're going to wear dresses and the girls are going to wear overall. I don't know. Right. But
so I basically, I need to get my head out of the gutter and realize that, yeah, he's using this acronym. There's using this acronym, say he's active in this community. But the fact of the matter is, it's kids getting together doing kid stuff. What hit me right there and what you just said the most and why I broke in is because it is hard for me to grasp it. But yeah, I mean, even when you were talking, I'm thinking, yeah, no kidding. Right now in this conversation, I right away put you on the spot to give your authoritative opinion on this. And in all honesty, I'm sure it didn't bother you, but in all honesty, it's the little things when all of that's gone, all that's cool because everyone else is the same. And what more does any human want than to be around more people like them? It is just absolutely normal.
I wouldn't, I wouldn't want to be stuck in Iran around a bunch of people that are not like me at all. Right? That'd be a miserable time for me.
I still have I'm a little shaky. I got to cut the boys loose too.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions on this one. One of the main questions I would like to ask is if you're operating under the term of LGBTQ, then those are all terminologies for your sexual preference and your sexual expression. Mm-hmm. Now, this kid obviously is what you'd call back in the day as a
drag queen, right?
Yes, literally as what you would call somebody who enjoys dressing up to perform as a woman. He doesn't, if I remember the person correctly, he doesn't actually like dressing up outside as that. He just he loves doing his performance. But at that point in time, he's dressing up to become a drag queen and then going on to a particular stage in front of men, women, and whatever to be expressed and decide how good he is at dancing in a sexualized outfit. Let's be honest, if you look at the picture, it's got no back on it. I wouldn't wear something like that. And I'm sure that if you were not going out with, if you were going out with your friends, you wouldn't wear a top that doesn't have a back on it. If you know what I mean. You wouldn't wear a dress, would you, that doesn't have a back on it if you're just going out with friends to go shopping, for instance. Mm-hmm. You dress for what you're doing. So if it's not a sexualized thing, why is he dressing like that? Now, that's a different point. My actual proper question to this is, it's fine if you're going to put stuff like this down to say that other people are going to come to you, but who decides on how you feel and how you are? We used to call it to the point of men wanting to be a little bit like a girl or things like that. That's fine, fair enough. And we used to call girls that wanted to be like that tomboys. Mm-hmm. See, I have no problem with things like that. I'm really not bothered. It's the point where they decide that they're going to be under a banner that it's about sexual expression.
Mm-hmm. Well, and this is why I at the beginning I said, I don't like the transgender umbrella for this reason. Because being a drag queen is ultimately about entertainment and performance. That's what it's always been about. It's never been about anything else. Like I know straight guys that fucking drag queen because why not go do a drag queen show and get $175, right?
Exactly.
Right. And I know trans women that do it. I know women that do it. Women who pretend to be guys pretending to be women. It's a culture, is what it is. And
can I ask a quick question? I don't want to throw you off. Please continue afterwards. But I just wanted to do this from a different point of view. If we had this as an 11-year-old girl that wanted to dress up in really sexy clothes and prance around in front of lots of men that were going to give her money, would we have a problem with that?
Well, that happens routinely in the fashion industry.
Yeah, but I mean, as you well know, as the point of, I can never fucking remember the name. Mm-hmm. As the dancing. As in the actual dancing type thing. I can't ever remember the goddamn name, sorry. But as the
female impersonators?
Yes, drag queens, as you said, yes. I can't ever fucking remember the name, I'm sorry. But if we're going to have it in the same instance as dressing up as a drag queen and things like that, would it be the same thing for if a girl was to do exactly the same as that and prance around as in the same show where they're doing the splits, where they're doing whatever to try and get attention and some money and show how sexualized they are? Would we have a problem with that with 11-year-olds in front of a whole group of men that are throwing money at them?
Well, and I need to make something abundantly clear. I'm okay with 10-year-olds doing drag, or in what I mean by that is dressing up, wearing dresses, or putting on makeup or whatever, right? Like, I don't have a problem with that, but that doesn't necessarily mean I also have to accept the very extreme end of things. Does that make sense?
No, I understand. It's like I have no problems with if a child wants to dress up.
If this kid is in fact being put on a stage and being over sexualized and all this inappropriate stuff that's going on, then yeah, absolutely, I think that's completely inappropriate. But if it's just a hey, look at me, I'm wearing a drag queen kind of thing, and there's not really sexual overtones to it, then I have a real hard time saying that's a problem.
Well, and just quickly, and I definitely, this is just, again, you don't have to make any apology or as I like to say, an apologia for anyone. You only speak for yourself.
Yeah,
this is what raises a flag for me, though, folks, is drag kid, a lad 10, who says he came out of the closet when he was born, opens the world's first. Now, as I've looked at this story and seen it unfold, it really does appear.
Can you do me a favor, Ogre?
Yes, sir.
Can you just go down to the actual picture?
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to point out that that's definitely an over-sexualized picture. Even though it's a case if he's not showing too much, that's definitely not that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking. It's unreal. It's hard. It's gonna be difficult for me. Okay, but this is the main thing is I think you've already said it. Again, I'm not asking you to make an apology for anybody. This, we got to be.
The little blue dress is conservative, and
definitely, no, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. That's fine. There's no point. There's no problem with that. I have no problem with that.
And let's not go too deep in the. I mean, I understand too common sense. Believe me, this is all things that I'm thinking of. As if a little girl was dancing in the same way. But then I think of Jean-Benet Ramsey. Sorry that's the one that popped into head. Yeah, they do these things. They do have little girls doing all this stuff. It's creepy and weird to me, but it does happen. I'm just going to say that if the parents were involved in this by encouraging an alternative lifestyle, if you will, or whatever, in any way, I mean, of course, we wouldn't condone that. I mean, could we say that, Melissa?
I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
Well, I'm trying to put it delicately, so let me just say it blatantly. If the parents encourage this child to, quote, come out of the closet when he was born, if that's not this young man saying this young boy saying this, if this is something that was placed there by, parents for whatever reason, who cares their motivation, would we say that would be a bad thing?
Yeah, if, like I said, if this kid is being pushed into this behavior, then yeah, that's completely unacceptable. But if this kid just wants to get, basically he wants to get pretty every once in a while, and it doesn't have these sexual overtones to it, then I don't have an issue with it personally, right? To me, it's just, kids, it's just a kid being a kid, basically.
I'm done at any questions, but I want to make a very quick little statement. Chat, let's remember one thing, everyone listening, that when Melissa's talking about these are things that are so normal to her that the idea, and I'm not trying to speak for you, young lady. If you disagree, you obviously can say no.
Can I show my screen share over to the chat?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So let me just blast this out very quickly. Of course, to Melissa, this is so normal that when she's considering looking back and she's playing, she's dressing up, and these things, maybe some of the things in her life were similar to this young person's, but obviously in the memories that you have, there's no weird sexual stuff. That is the hard thing for us. Mm-hmm. That if the parents taken out of it and they have no hand in this, and it is just a young boy that is the GNC, well, in that case, of course, you want your little child to be outgoing and as flamboyant as they want to be and accepted. So, everyone, let's as we think about these things, I'm not going to say be inclusive, be as rigid and as hard as you want to be as staunch as you want to be as loose and free and open as you want to be. It's completely up to you in your own life. But let's realize that, man, some things are just different. I, of course, and no one else here would ever condone the sexualization of children. Hopefully that wasn't too long. I felt like I needed to make a little statement though, Melissa, because someone's going to listen to this in the future, you know, when we're not here and I can't see the chat, we can't see the chat, and someone's going to say, oh, look at that person that was on there, and of course you're just like the rest of them, and they're going to put you in a category with them and they and take away your individuality. When I don't believe that anybody here would advocate for the sexualization of children.
No, it's like, and
well, that's why I wanted to screen share. I just wanted to pull up this exact picture, which is the one I was looking for, which is the one when he's outside. I'm not 100% sure. Or if he's wearing a towel that's wrapped around him.
If I had a 10-year-old son that was GNC, I would not let him go out of the house like that. Right? Much less on the internet. Right?
That's all I was trying to say. That this seems to be over-sexualized.
Now, if he wanted to be in his room and dress like that, be in your room and dress like that. I don't care. Just don't be taking no damn pictures of yourself and putting it on the internet, right?
Yeah.
Because
no, it's funny.
I was a GNC kid, right? And my dad wouldn't let me. Like, if I tried to walk out of the house with a skirt that was a little too short, my dad would be like, "Turn around and go get changed." That's not appropriate. Straight up, that's what he would tell me.
It's so funny, and it's so cool that it is that way. And that's what I wanted people to hear, that no, just because you're transsexual or whatever people are, no, there are people that are very conservative, and some folks have straight kids that are just gender conforming and the whole 9 yards, and they're very strict with them. There's some that let their kids dress any old way. I see it all. All you got to do is go to the mall. You see plenty of parents with their straight kids, and the daughter's, 13 years old, just developing, and some old man like me has got to just stare at the ground when they come my way, because all you can see is shorts that don't cover up everything God gave them, that says, pink on the butt across the back. So of course that's where you're, the whole 9 yards. And it's like, well, come on, man, have mercy. And it would go, if someone had the thing that we started this conversation out with, the idea of morals and principles, then it would go both ways. It wouldn't matter if you had a trans child or if you had a straight child. You said, no, little Johnny, little Janie, get your mind right, and then go out in public.
Yeah, no, I've tried to sneak out wearing all kinds of crazy outfits, and my dad slapped me over the head. Go get changed. What are you talking about? Look at you. Act like you got some damn sense. That's what he would say. That's what he would say.
See,
well, we're cruising quickly into our...
I was just about to say, I like the picture of what you pointed out as well, the blue conservative dress. That looks fine. There's no problem with that. I have no problem with that. Not that it matters what I think in general, but I have no problem with that whatsoever. It's just a case of the other picture that I showed where he's getting ready to go and do a show and things like that. I have a problem with that, because that is just literally, as you've already agreed to and said, obviously. So it's not a punch towards you or anything. And over sexualization, it's more of a point of saying, is this the kid's idea? Or is this the parents' idea, is what Ogre was alluding to before? And that's the only thing I wanted.
So we can keep it egalitarian, and we're quickly rolling into the section of time where Melissa, I'm not sure if you've watched the show, or it's not really that important. I just want to let you know what happens at the end, or if I don't believe I explained it to you, but at the end we'll have our final word. And I know you're the guest here, but we'll ask you to go first. Say anything you'd like. It could have to do with the topics that we covered today. It could be anything that you want. I can't be any more specific than that. And I
would like to know what Magic Bollocks was thinking about this story.
Yeah, no, that's where I was going. But to keep it honest and to show you that nobody's going to show you preference for any lifestyle choice you made on any topic. Bollocks, you ain't said a damn word. Why don't you have the final word on this topic?
Yeah, I've been sat here thinking to myself what I think about it, and things don't normally make me feel uncomfortable, but reading that really, really put me on edge, and I think it's mainly because of my upbringing and also remembering what I was like at that age. If he'd have been at our school, he would have been bullied to fuck, and I know he would have, and I'm sure I probably would have been the ones taking the piss as well. And yeah, it's not a nice thing to admit, but that's what kids are like, especially in this country. We're renowned for it, for being bastards when we're children. And as an adult, I take the attitude, again, individuality, which is you can do whatever you want, however you want, whenever you want, be whatever you want. That's fine. But you also have to accept that there are consequences for that. which is if you're doing something that is not within the confines of what is considered normal, you are going to get noticed. Now, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that that's how society is. And I don't mean any ill to this lad. If he can do whatever he wants to do. But, you know, I just read that sign down at the bottom was, where was it, on that article, which I found fascinating. I'll just read it out for everybody. Dear haters, your words do not hurt me. I am secure in who I am. You will not change me. I will be myself always. You will never stop me. I am the future. You will not shame me. And like you, I am not a bully. You mean nothing to me. You are like a fly I wish you away. Love is strong. Hate is weak. Yeah, try telling that to a Muslim.
If they speak English.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I'm trying to be as delicate as I can be, with obviously present company accepted. It's funny how you don't think of anything until it's brought up, and then you suddenly find you having a gut reaction to something, and it's like, oh, I never really thought of it like that before. And it just makes me think of how my life experiences have made me think now as an adult, even though I obviously would not behave as I did as a teenager. Now, as a 30-something man, it does make you realize certain things about yourself. And if I saw that kid, pouncing around in the street dressed like that, I know what my automatic thought would be, which is probably faggot or something like that. It would just be that would be the gut reaction, but it wouldn't be a hateful thing. It would just be, something that's come from my mind because of the way I have lived my life and the way I've been brought up. But I certainly wouldn't wish him any ill, because that's up to him what he does with his life. Let him get on with it. Just as long as he realizes, of course, he is going to get shit for it. And I just hope for his sake that the shit ain't going to be nothing too serious, shall we say.
It won't stick too much to the sole of the shoe. I got to say one thing, man. Honesty is beautiful when you can say something honest like that. Because I tell you what, bro, when I was seeing this, I knew we were going to have our guest with us today. I was like, man, but you know what? We have to look at everything.
Well, the thing is, I don't want to upset anybody. That's the main thing. Because the thing is, we all have opinions.
Yeah. Let me make something abundantly clear. I'll tell you what offends me. When you fly planes into my buildings, that's offensive.
Right.
That's shit. That was going to be my second suggestion.
Yeah, I don't offend easily. Like, unless you're trying to go out of your way to be a dick, I don't offend easily. So,
how would you target the LGBTQ with planes? Would you target the YMCA, the local YMCA?
The transgender politic, give me the can of gas. I'll go light it on fire myself.
Yeah, you don't seem to have that about you. The reek of I'm a victim, please take care of me or something. And look, next time you're on, we will have to get into that. We'll talk a little bit about but like we said, we do when we get into things that we believe will be personal. And you were a good sport today. I almost felt like Common Sense Guy and I was starting to beat you up, and it was Magic. Obviously took his time and thought, but what we do is we get questions together pre-hand. We don't do it. I mean, it ain't like a Hillary Clinton situation where it's just completely contrived. It's just so that you'll know what's going to be asked. Very possibly could be a question that you look at and you go, you know what, I'm not. Go away. That ain't going to happen. And there may be something where you say, you didn't think of this. Maybe you want to ask me this. It just makes for a good show. It brings more things out, and it gives us a chance to think about what we want to say instead of just blurting it out. Gives you a chance to think about how you want to respond. So, Mo, we really do hope to have you on maybe in about a month and a half, 2 months. I don't know. Common Sense Guy's so booked up. You're honest to goodness. While I talk all this trash, you'd have to get with him. It's been a pleasure to have you on today, though. And I think if we do this right now, folks, we got 20 minutes left. That would give us each 5 easy. So we'll just say that we thank everybody for coming. Hopefully no one was abridged too much. It was nice to have a guest, but it's always difficult. The more people we get when we try to press it into 2 hours. We're going to do that more often because we want it to be succinct. We want to cover the stories, not just to go on one in wild tangents where one story has actually been 5, but maybe stick to something and get her done. Hopefully we did that for you today. So there, I filibustered a wee bit for you there, Melissa. You can say anything you want, including nothing. what do you think for your final word?
So I don't know. It's really hard to just shoot off the cuff without a topic. No, it's God, I'm trying not to touch on that topic, and I really want to. I think.
Oh no, anything you'd like, whatever you want to say, that would be a great thing. Then you have a topic.
No, it's, and when I talk about, I want to burn the transgender politic to the ground, it's because of stories like that, right? Because I think it does a disservice to people who have what amounts to a diagnosable condition, and it tries to conflate these things when they're really not all that similar, and it's and it causes confusion amongst the vox populi. It really does, and it doesn't do anyone any favors. And when these things get conflated with, like, a kid playing around in a dress gets conflated with, you know, essentially a sexual identity, well, now we got a problem, right? And I think there needs to be a sharp divide on these things. And so this way they could be talked about in a way where we're not conflating terms, where we're not, you know, making the case about, you know, 10-year-old wanting to play in a dress and, you know, homosexuality or transsexuality, right? I think it should be talked about in its own context, and that just can't happen because of things like the transgender umbrella. And it's frustrating for me on a personal level, because I think a lot of times these kids, I think it is a case that in some cases that these kids get pushed into things, and I think it's completely inappropriate. And it's not inappropriate on a, you know, societal, moral, busybody, my feels kind of way. It's inappropriate because it damages people's lives, and it's inappropriate. So, yeah, that's basically all I really had to say, just off the cuff. It'd be great to do a show with you where we have or to want to talk about this in more depth, so this way I can get my talking points in order. But yeah, it's yeah, if this kid is being sexualized, I think that's highly inappropriate. If he's being pushed into it, it's highly inappropriate. And if somebody's trying to push them into a transgender umbrella or transgender politic, that's even worse than inappropriate. It's going to fuck this kid up, and I'll be the first in line to fight against it. So that's all I had to say.
Thank you so much for being here today, young lady. It's a pleasure. Mr. Bollix.
Oh, yeah, it's my go, isn't it? Right. I think my little message today is going to be covering most of the stories that we did today. And it's going back to what I was saying before about individual responsibility, which is I don't believe in any form of collectivism. We are all individually responsible for our own actions and our own lives. So every decision that you make and every choice you make and everything you do is your own decision. Okay, you might be influenced by other people. They might give you bad information. They might give you bad advice, but it's up to you to make those decisions. And if they're wrong, you learn from it. And looking at these stories today where you've got that fuckwit copper blaming the Masons for his inability to climb the greasy pole. You've got the kid who thinks he's Danny LaRue, and then you've got that girl who wants to flog her fanny for £1 million just because she used to be a good girl, now she doesn't want to be. All these people are making their own choices, and for good or not, they will have to live with the consequences of their choices. And I think that's one thing I really dislike about the modern day is everybody's trying to have excuses for their own failings. You know, they want to be a victim instead of taking responsibility. And though I would never say to anybody that you deserve that, even though I'd love to say that to Sadiq Khan when several blokes were beating the shit out of the cunt. I take the attitude that everybody needs to be able to say that this is my life. What I do is my responsibility. If I fuck up, it's my fault. And if I succeed, it was because of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, I realized what I wanted to say, and it's all come out arse backwards. So I'm going to end it there because otherwise I'm going to fuck it up even more. Respect to everybody in the chat. Thank you very much for entertaining me as usual. I was going to type, but my spare keyboard fucked up halfway through, so I couldn't type back. Common sense, pleasure as always. Always the voice of reason. Mel, thank you for coming on, and meaning I haven't had to speak for as much as usual, so thank you very much for that. And Mr. Ogre, respect as always. Brilliant channel, mate.
Right, okay then. I suppose it's my turn to give this a little bit of a crack. I suppose the difference of opinions that have been expressed here are not necessarily from different points of a political scale. It's just, as Magic Bollocks has alluded to, it's a point of personal acceptance and personal belief. Everything can be broken down into a belief system. Whether you want it to be a religious belief system or whether you want it to be a political belief system. It's a case of, do you believe Donald Trump is going to be doing this? Do you believe Theresa May is going to be able to do Brexit? Do you believe Sadiq Khan's doing this? Whether you believe yes or no, it's still a belief. It's still an opinion. It's a belief system. And that, as humans, is what makes us humane, because we always have the point of believing what is good and what is bad for each other. And that's the point where we always differ, because we all have different belief systems, whether it be communism, socialism, capitalism, liberalism, whatever liberalism you want. It's a case that those political systems, even though you still have facts to them and have statistics that can back up your belief, it is still that in itself, a belief. So my point on this little transaction as I'm speaking is the point that whether you believe something is, as Mel said today, under an umbrella term, or if you believe something, as Magic Bollocks has said, that it's an individual term, those points are still, as we would all say, as an opinion. Now, I'm not trying to conflate the issue of trying to say that people are wrong. I'm not trying to say that. I'm trying to enlighten my point, which is the fact that everybody has a belief system, whether you believe it to be correct, righteous, or true. And that's the point that I'm trying to get across. If we just take the time to actually take away the belief and actually have the conversation, then we would actually be able to get somewhere. Like today, even though some of us disagreed with different points that were brought up, we had a civil discord. And that's what the whole point of this is. If you're going to be able to have different people's opinions on, different people's beliefs and things like that, you have to be able to talk to them. And vice versa, which has gone well today, obviously very well. By the way, I'm talking about Magic Bollocks more than anybody else, so nobody else think bad. But my little point is, as I said, you've just got to make sure that you actually take the time to listen to people's points of view. That's all I've really got to say, apart from I've got my birthday coming up, obviously, on Friday. We've got quite a lot of guests coming through. We've got a couple of regulars coming up. As far as I'm aware, we've got Locke coming in as well on Friday. We've got Nazi Free coming in on Friday as well. We've got a couple of other people as well. I've got two people that
Holly Seelger's supposed to be there. So Fane, oh man,
exactly. We've got a fair amount of people coming out at this moment in time. So hopefully everybody turns up. Don't forget to tweet it out. Enjoy yourselves. We're going to have a good time.
All right, and without any further ado, I will keep. Everybody has done so well with their final words. Not only was it interesting to hear, but the timing was great. I always say, you can take as long as you want, but of course, we have a window of opportunity with attention spans, and that's one of the reasons we have 3 people on our panel always, because that way, when you hear the different accents between the 2 Englishmen, you hear my different American accent. When you hear our different points of view, even though it's a 2-hour-long show, it seems like many shows, if you will, packed into this show. So that's the only way. I mean, and you're just human if that's the way you are. It's not very many people can sit down and listen to a Peterson style lecture. I do it. Not everybody can. So we really appreciate everybody being here. Thank you so much, everyone that joined us today. Try new things. That's what this was about for me today. Didn't know how it would go. Didn't know what to do. Didn't know if I would be an ass, say something stupid, ask the wrong question at the wrong time. I was about as nervous as I get today. I don't usually get ramped up or amped up about anything. But yeah, my mind was on stuff in a way that it usually wouldn't have been. And it does make me think again about the Paul boy, Logan Paul, whatever his name is. Because yes, he's a moron. Yes, he was a detention whore. Yes, he makes god-awful too much money. Yes, in my heart, I'm probably a little jealous of the pretty boy with his perfect physique and big fancy truck and giant house in Hollywood. All those things are true. But something else is true. But people are people, okay? And when you're a little nervous, you do stupid things. So even if you're not willing to cut him a break on this particular situation, cut your friends a break in those situations. Cut your family members a break in those situations if you can find your way to do it. I wrote down here an open mind, but unwavering principle. Because as has already been mentioned, if you keep yourself and your boyfriend's there, and then when he goes off and does something, you run off and sell your virginity or whatever it is, a ring he got you, whatever it may be, well, then that thing meant nothing to you, did it? The idea of how much that you got for that thing doesn't matter, as I said before. If you got more money for it, to me, it means you're a bigger scumbag. And let's remember, Islam, I said can be, I want to say it this way. Islam is bad. Christianity is bad. Masons are bad. The Illuminati is bad. The Council on Foreign Relations is bad. Trilateral Commission is bad. Your local Baptist church is bad. Yes, your mother, your father, your brothers, your sisters. Everybody's bad. It's not the badness in the world. It's if we focus our energies on one thing, as I did today, we will miss the story. Which wasn't that the Masons may be controlling a police station. It was actually our police hiring policies, whatever it was and so forth. But it wasn't. It was that this guy actually had the nerve to say that. So let's remember that these things are bad, that people are bad, but man, at its base, folks, mankind, at the soul of it, is a marvelous thing. It's a beautiful, wonderful thing, so great and so majestic that all of us should rush around and cover his nakedness if ever it shows. So I don't know. I can't say much else, but be good to your friends, be good to your family members, be good to your loved ones. Be quick to say you're sorry. Be even quicker to accept an apology, especially when that thing your friend, your family member, your loved one has done seems to be so huge, you'll never be able to forget about it. Because panel, constant viewers, at a time you think not, your friends, your family members, your loved ones, your life, and everything you know will depart from you.